Welcome for Primeur Magazine. This is Ad Emmen reporting from the third eScience conference in Amsterdam. We are here with José van Dijk. Welcome.
Thank you.
Can you tell a little bit about where you come from?
Sure. I'm a professor of media studies at the University of Amsterdam. I'm actually very interested in digital humanities as sort of a new branch of the humanities that has become interested in digital sources. We work with digital text, but also with digital images and sounds, and we worked with structured data. So we're interested in how our digital data can be, newly, or is in fact a new material from which we draw new interpretations, and all this data is posing a lot of new challenges to us as researchers.
You are from a research infrastructure?
Actually, last year we received a large grant from the Dutch National Science Council for an infrastructure for all of the humanities. It was 12 million euros, so we're very happy that we can now develop instruments toward a better understanding and interpretation of digital files. For instance, we can now, our historians are developing the instruments to interpret large numbers of digitized files. For instance, structured data. They have those data. They pull them from archives, from textual archives, but also I myself work with audiovisual data. And of course, they have been digitized over the past 5 or 10 years. And we're currently interested in how those digital files can be mined, especially by digital instruments.
What's the name of the project?
The project's name is CLARIAH.
How many researchers are there involved?
Actually, there are quite a number of researchers involved. There's researchers from mostly all of the Dutch universities, which is, I think, at least 4 universities are involved in the CLARIAH project. And currently, I'm building a coalition for digital humanities in the Netherlands, where I think at least 7 or 8 universities will be involved and 5 national institutes.
Okay, that sounds very big.
Yeah, we're actually, currently we're building a coalition of humanities researchers that are all interested in working with digitized data files. So those digital files that can help us towards, becoming better at doing what we already did, but now in with regards to the digital.
You say it's digital humanities, so that means that there are 2, can I say, groups of people working together or coming together?
Actually, we're trying to collaborate very closely from the beginning, but collaborations between humanities, such as historians, media scholars, linguists, and on the other hand, computer scientists. But I think it's very important that we collaborate from the very beginning, where we articulate our questions together, so that we can do the research from the very beginning in collaboration and cooperation, rather than sort of looking at computer scientists as helpers of humanities people.
So it's a real collaboration. And does that mean that in the end of the project it's only humanities and there's no digital?
No, actually what I hope is that the humanities people becoming more well versed at interpreting data, at coding languages, at the whole fundamentals of programming, so they can see how that language, how digital language is also a language, coding and algorithms. And on the other hand, of course, what we're trying to transpose is that computer scientists are also interested in hermeneutics, in data interpretation, rather than just doing algorithms. So we really hope that we can collaborate and learn from each other.
There's lots of data which is to be interpreted or something to be said about. Can you tell a little bit about the kind of data?
Sure. We're dealing with very different kinds of data. For instance, we have structured data that come from archives, like large demographic data that come from municipal archives, for instance, from the 17th, 18th century. And on the other hand, we have audiovisual sources. There's a large archive in the Netherlands, the Sound and Vision, as we call it. And the Institute for Sound and Vision is digitizing all of our television programs, for instance, radio programs. And through subtitling, we can also get access to those texts, through the spoken words that have been used in certain programming. And of course, we have linguistic data. There's If you transcribe text that you hear on television, for instance, you also have textual data that can be mined by linguists. So there's a lot of different kinds of data, and the big challenge is to actually bring them together, to have, like, from these different data sets, to develop tools that can help us to combine those different data sets.
Of course, the important thing about when you're handling all this kind of data is to, how do you say that, ask the right questions, so that you get new science out of it.
Yeah.
Is there something special about that in humanities?
Well, actually, of course, we're trying to ask the grand questions. There's big questions that we cannot answer yet, but questions like, how come that minorities, for instance, have been that certain stereotypes of minorities persist in media images, and it has been the case for 50 years now. How, we want to do research into how those images develop. Now we talk about migrants, but at one moment in time we talked about visiting employers. Like, we have had a number of different terms for migrants coming to this country. Now, it will be extremely interesting to combine data sets from a variety of sources, from textual data, from audiovisual data, and from archives, for instance, so we can have real, evidence of how these images and how these groups migration groups have, underwent various cultural transformations, and that's what we're looking into.
I'm looking forward to see the results in a few years' time. Just a very last question. Do you also have international collaboration with the same kind of infrastructures around
Absolutely.
Europe?
I think we have a very strong group in the Netherlands in all of the different disciplines that I just mentioned. But in Europe as a whole, I think we have a very strong case for digital humanities. And there's very strong groups in Ireland, but also in Siberia, for instance. One of my colleagues just went to Siberia, and there's a very active group of digital humanities scholars in Siberia. Of course, in the UK, they have a very strong digital humanities presence. And in Germany and France as well. So actually there's continuously like collaborating groups in Europe. Of course also in the US, and we also collaborate with our American colleagues.
Okay, thank you very much for the interview.
You're quite welcome.
For Premier Magazine, this was ATM Report.